All right. There was a call to action by the UN Secretary General, that is Antonio Guterres, to bolster the government's efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus here, especially here in Kenya. But now, how is the UN helping, in partnership with government to help in this fight against the COVID-19? And specifically, as I mentioned earlier, the UN Habitat. The Viewpoint continues this morning. Remember, keep engaging with us on our social media platforms. The hashtag, as always, is Good Morning Kenya. Tag me at Ram Maguko, my colleagues handle at Jane Wamboi and at Doreen Arange. SMS line 20154 is the number. Start with the word Channel 1. Tell us your name and where you're watching us from. This morning, as I mentioned earlier, I'm joined by Maimunah Sharif, the Executive Director of the UN Habitat. And Maimunah, you mentioned about, we've talked about the global perspective. Now let's come narrowing down to Kenya. And I'd like to quote the UN Secretary General, what he said. And I quote, "All of us face a common threat, the coronavirus, the COVID-19. The pandemic is a call to action for everyone, everywhere. It is also a call for responsibility and solidarity. All nations united as people united. As we fight the virus, we cannot let fear go viral. Let's overcome this common threat together." End of quote. That was he said. He talked about solidarity. He has talked about togetherness. But now, how can we be united in this fight against the COVID-19 and avoid blaming one another, even as a nation, expecting, some expecting the government and, expectations coming in from different sectors? How can we work together and fight this COVID-19?
Yeah, the call by the Secretary General is very clear.
Yes.
That's we have to have a solidarity, togetherness, integrated approach with the government, with the people, and here at the UN, as a UN agencies in Kenya, we are working very closely for UN Habitat, working together with other UN agencies under the UN city, UN country team, with World Health Organization, with UNICEF, with UNESCO, with UNDP, with ICAO and other UN agencies, that we are pulling out our resources together, and we work together with the government of Kenya for Kenya, and for the global, the UN agencies also putting up together our team working with the various government in various countries.
So the UN is also having its role in all of this.
Yes. Like for example, as in Kenya, UN Habitat is part of the UN country team. We work together with the government of Kenya. For UN Habitat, we have already seconded 5 of our officers to the government for Kenya, working together with the government of Kenya, and how UN Habitat can help in terms of giving the advice. Second is in terms of the collecting the data, because now is the best time to get data, because this is the, to me, is the short-term action, but of course we have to look at the long-term, the post-pandemic. What shall we do? So we are collecting data, and we also have the expertise on the mobility, because mobility is also important in Kenya and also in other countries, and expertise on housing and informal settlement. And also on water and sanitation. And another one is on communication. So we have 5 officers seconded together, working together with the UN country team and the government of Kenya. At the same time, in Kenya, we are also working very closely with the community leaders. For example, with the youth, it's very, very important. We are working with the youth. And we had a program, a small program together with the youth in Matare, putting up the facilities to wash hand.
In Matare?
In Matare. Working is already, daily is around 500 people already now coming to wash hand. At the same time, we also give out the information and the best practices, how they can trying to reduce or not to get attacked by this pandemic. And we also would like to call upon other partners so that we can scale up these facilities. Maybe more facilities in Matare and also more facilities in other informal settlement for that matter. So these are the areas, and we are working very, very closely for Kenya, with the government of Kenya, and also in the other region, because through my morning meeting, we had the communication every morning to connect with the office, UN Habitat office in Asia Pacific, in Arab state, in Latin America, and in Africa.
And this is how everyone has their hands on.
Yes.
Everyone is having a role to play.
Yes, yes.
The UN,
yes.
and all the agencies, including
Yes.
the UN Habitat,
Yes.
in partnership with the government, the national, and helping the people on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, for some people, getting something like water is not quite easy, because we are talking about washing hands. Yet they wake up early in the morning to go to look for that water, to go fetch that water. For example, in the slums, for example, in Madara, where you've been, you mentioned, going there, helping people to, sanitize and, maintain the hygiene that should be maintained based on the government, initiatives that have been put in place. But now water, including other things, is among things that people need.
Yeah.
How can we be able to, maintain that high standard of hygiene, yet we lack some of these things? And how is the UN Habitat helping to curb that?
I think this phenomena is not only in informal settlement in Kenya, but it's also in informal settlement in other countries globally.
Yes.
Due to the overcrowding, due to the high density, and due to the lack of basic facilities, this will also incur a lot of challenges. As you said, that is water. And that's the reason why we work within, as I said, within our limitation, to at least to provide water for them to wash their hand. Yeah, to also to explain to them this is the way, that is the correct way to wash. I know very much that the challenges that we are facing now. I think that is the immediate action that we can do. But we also, not to forget, to plan for the long-term planning.
Yes, yes.
That's why in UN Habitat, we, together with other UN agencies, we have this program on the resilient community for urban poor. I mean, how can we build a resilient community for the urban poor? So this is for long-term planning. But short-term, immediate, we need water. Yeah, that's why I'm also trying to see how we can partner with other private sector of other philanthropies to scale up our effort. Is ready in the informal settlement. Yeah.
Based on so far the efforts you've put in place, especially on the ground, how are you ensuring that you reach out to the vulnerable people on the ground, everybody who is affected by this pandemic, both directly and indirectly?
We work together with the community. I think that is our UN Habitat's value added, that we can work together with the local community and local leaders, and also the youth. We provide, but manned by them, by the youth. So I think this is the working together with the community and the young people is very, very important at this time. And
the reception that you get on the ground when you go there, you educate them, talk about hygiene, you give them the sanitizers and the soap and the water, and they wash their hands. How is the reception on the ground? They
ask for more. That is, I think they understand. They understand. They said that one is not enough. We want more. We want more of these facilities.
You should plan to go back.
Yes, we have the program, but we need to partner with other UN agencies, and also together with the private sectors and in the government to scale up. We started it, but we need to scale up, because I think what we have is in Matare, but also a request from other informal settlement. So this is very, very important for us, as what the Secretary General mentioned just now, solidarity, togetherness, teamwork. When he talk about, for me, talking teamwork within UN agencies, and also teamwork within UN agencies, UN Habitat within UN agencies, because we are dealing with, UN Habitat dealing with cities and human settlement.
And he said that we are all facing the same threat, common threat.
Yes.
You've been observing how people are getting to want more. What are some of the loopholes that you've noticed when you go to the people there, and as they continue to sanitize themselves, wash their hands, and with water and soap? What are the loopholes that you've seen that actually need to be looked into that can actually help in taking the country forward?
I think we look at the situation when you talk about informal settlement, as I mentioned earlier, the density, the overcrowding.
Yes.
The house is very near. How can you talking about distancing? If
social
the house
distancing
is
the house
social distancing, if the house is from roof to roof, and in one house maybe many people. So I think this is, as I said, linked to the future planning. I think we need to look into how we can include the informal settlement in the overall planning of the cities. That is not now. I think now we are dealing with the COVID pandemic now, but I think in the future, immediately after the post pandemic, the urban planning have to be integrated. We have to include the informal settlement, the informal sector, and also the transportation in an integrated planning. I think this is very important. That's what one of our flagship program in UN Habitat about the resilience for the urban poor. We are looking into the cities as one DNA, one ecosystem. So I think this is very, very important for us to do the medium term and the long term planning.
All right. Yeah. And I'm aware that the UN has assisted in training of county rapid response teams.
Yeah.
How has it been so far with working with those who have been trained?
We have the capacity building. Actually, the training and the capacity building, we're supposed to have capacity building on the 16th of March with the government of Kenya. And we postponed that due to this COVID-19 pandemic. But we will continue. We are looking into ways maybe we can do it online. And now we have to think differently, the way of working now in terms of training and capacity. I think capacity building and training is very, very important at all levels, not only at the government, also at the local level.
Right. Yeah. As we bring this to a close, maybe you can also tell us, in your viewpoint, what do you think Kenya can learn from other parts of the world, from other countries in managing this pandemic?
Yeah, there are other countries when you look into for example, like China, when they mention about lockdown, is totally lockdown.
Yes.
I mean, that is governance and discipline, and that's why they can reduce, quite fast. And you can see that is what is happening now. Even in Italy, surpass the death of China. The one is Italy. So I think for government of Kenya, we have to look into the other countries in terms of governance, in terms of technology, and in terms of innovation, and also in terms of communication and discipline. I think this is important. That's why on my side that I will have this afternoon webinar discussion. I will get the feedback from how the other countries, the other cities, the other mayors are doing. And definitely I will share with the team that is working together with the government of Kenya. Then we can learn and can relearn. Because the government of Kenya is also doing very, very, very well. And you see that is immediately the Ministry of Health is already mentioned all the steps have to be, and I think today they're going to announce something also today. It's mentioned yesterday. You see? So I think this is, but the most important thing is that we have to have a self-discipline, and you have to be together, and to be solidarity, teamwork, and because the virus, they don't know whether you are Kenyan, you are Malaysian, you are Italian, you are different cultures. Yes,
it doesn't select.
Yes, they don't select. So I think we have to be together in this fighting this virus.
And through this, we get the short, mid, and long-term solutions that are there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing your viewpoint this morning. I was with Maimunah Mohammed Sharif, the Executive Director of the UN Habitat. Asante sana kwa kukuja.
Thank you. Asante sana.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Keep texting, keep tweeting. The Viewpoint ends now. Remember, we are back after this break. Do not go too far.